It has been a long, cold winter in Minnesota, and I don't just mean last week when one day the high was -2. What I mean is that it has been a frigid stretch for the Timberwolves franchise that hasn't made the playoffs in 14 years. That is indeed the longest drought in the NBA. And yet finally, something is happening in the heartland. The Timberwolves have won 9 of their last 12 games, and over their last 15, they've got the league's top offense, the league's top net rating, and yep, they are finally a top 10 defense in that stretch as well. Can't you just picture Tom Thibodeau in his pajamas at 3 in the morning, waking up, smiling, rubbing his hands together, and then going back to bed?
That's every morning for Tom.
No? Is that just me thinking about that? Anyway, the rightfully skeptical fans in Minnesota have noticed the Target Center is now sold out 4 straight, including last night's absolute clubbing of Cleveland, a game Minnesota led by as much as 41 points, and you can't say the Cavaliers didn't know what they were getting into. Well, at least not mostly. When LeBron James was asked about the Wolves' quote, young team at morning shoot-around, he talked about how that was an old narrative, how players like Jimmy Butler and Jamal Crawford had helped the Timber Pups mature. Unfortunately, he also mentioned Tyler Jones, whose name is actually Tyus Jones. It's a pretty easy and honest mistake, but one that after last night, I doubt LeBron is going to make again. After all, it was Jones who LeBron had a great block on in the second quarter. That was good. But then it was also Jones who just 3 minutes later got his revenge by dunking just out of LeBron's reach. It was a rough night for LeBron, who had his lowest scoring regular season game in 10 years. And while there is no one who can be called a LeBron stopper in this league, Butler is probably the closest. He's now won his 7th straight head-to-head matchup with James. And clearly, he just gets super amped defending him. But what was so noticeable last night is how that enthusiasm has spread. Karl Anthony Towns was engaged and active on defense. So was Andrew Wiggins. Look, Cleveland's not going to lose by 28 too often, but with the way the Wolves have been playing, last night didn't feel like a fluke, which in Minnesota is a very welcome change indeed. So, Scotty, for you, are the Timberwolves starting to meet the expectations we all had for them, really the last kind of 2 seasons?
I feel like they are. I mean, we looked at this team come in, and we saw them as a very young team, and with them adding Jimmy Butler, I think he came in really a little more hesitant to take the leadership role, and now we're seeing Jimmy Butler emerge as a player that he did a year ago, an all-star player. He's taking the rings now, and I think the other guys are starting to get on his back, and we know Coach Tom Thibodeau is one of the best coaches in this league in terms of preparation, game in and game out. So you're starting to see a flourish of everybody stepping up. But I like what I see in this Minnesota team.
They're getting better defensively, Rachel, but they're still in the bottom 10 in the league in defense. They still, to me, aren't a good enough defensive.
The whole season.
Well, the whole season isn't over yet.
Go in the last 4 weeks. They've been a top 10 defense the last 4 weeks.
The whole season isn't over yet. Let's just see where they are. This is one thing that they had trouble being consistent on the defensive end of the court. Getting Taj Gibson and Jimmy Butler to bring Tom Thibodeau's, mindset in from Chicago has obviously made a positive difference. But I also see this team occasionally get beat on the defensive end. There's no reason why Karl Towns and Andrew Wiggins shouldn't be more consistently better defenders. So, while I see them playing better, and obviously last night they came with the intensity that the Cavs did not have, which, by the way, was unacceptable for Cleveland because they had 2 days off.
Yeah, I didn't.
I mean, I know it's a January game in Minnesota, but the Cavs can't use that we're old excuse when they have 2 days off. But that's neither here nor there. They're definitely getting better, and if they can get a top 4 seed, which is the position that they're at now, and get home court advantage for the first round, it would be huge for them because this is a team that, for the most part, has not had much playoff experience. Yes, they've got a couple guys on their roster that do, but the core of their young guys, Karl Towns, Andrew Wiggins, Tyus Jones, they've never done this before.
Scotty, I mentioned the building has sold out 4 games straight, which in a lot of cities is no big deal. But in Minnesota, where fans, frankly, after more than a dozen years of not making the playoffs, have been sort of skeptical about buying in, now there seems to be a lot of momentum in the city. When players get that kind of response and it seems like things are rolling and they've won 9 of 12, how much easier is it to buy in defensively, to be Karl Anthony Towns and give a little bit more?
Anytime you're winning, it's easy to buy in. And I think what Coach Thibodeau has done to this team is he's gave them a lot of leeway coming into this season. But now you're seeing him tighten the rings a little bit. Defense is Tom Thibodeau's go-to. And that's what he relies on night in and night out. And I think, like you said, Brian, having Taj Gibson, having Jimmy Butler there, those are guys who are going to lead your defense. And it's just taking a little bit more time for the younger guys to buy into his system.
I mean, look, talking to you of all people, it's effort. And sometimes it's just really trying harder. And when everybody around you is positive and excited and, encouraging you on, it makes a difference.
When in the playoffs, when teams start to prepare for them, they're going to realize that Andrew Wiggins and Karl Towns at their positions are ranked amongst the lowest defenders in their positions. That's kind of unacceptable. They are both set out. So if this is something that they are going to do, not just in December, but January, February, March, and we get there and we say, my God, they've played half the season and they are a top 10 defensive team, good. But right now, if a team really prepares, they can still attack those guys. And that's going to be something that we're going to see in the postseason.